on Iran. German intelligence has this report that's saying that Iran tried to acquire technology that could be used for a military nuclear program even after it signed the nuclear deal. This report is from the German Federal Office for Protection of the Constitution, or some such. And in addition, the UN is also kind of raising questions about that Iran's nuclear activity might not be consistent with the deal. You also have the Institute for Science and International Security issuing a report yesterday. Iran's atomic energy organization is trying to acquire carbon fiber. So kind of taken together, it might suggest that Iran is not living up to its nuclear commitments.
We have no information to indicate that Iran has procured any materials in violation of the JCPOA. More generally, the IAEA has reported that Iran continues to implement its nuclear-related commitments under the deal. We understand that Germany shares this view and is not suggesting that Iran has violated its JCPOA commitments. As for the...
Well, it seems like it says that it is. I mean, it's saying that Iran sought to acquire technology that could be used for a military nuclear program even after it signed the agreement. So how is that not saying that Iran is not living up to it?
We understand the BFV report is mainly about missiles, and while it does mention nuclear dual-use technology, it covers all of 2015 and makes no distinction about whether the reported activities occurred prior to the JCPOA coming into effect.
Okay, now what about this this Institute for Science and International Security saying that Iran is attempting to acquire carbon fiber, which we know...
I haven't seen that report and therefore wouldn't be proficient enough to speak to that finding, but I'd go back again to what I said, that we have absolutely no indication that Iran has procured any materials in violation of the JCPOA.
Also, apparently, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has also voiced concerns in a new report saying that Iran's actions under the missile program were, quote, not consistent with the constructive spirit of the nuclear deal. So, I mean, again, taken together, would you say, yes, I can see you saying on technically maybe they're not, violating their commitments, but are they living up to the spirit of the deal, would you say?
We have no indications that they are in violation of the JCPOA.
I didn't say, in violation of the terms or in violation of the spirit?
Violation of the JCPOA. They're not violating the JCPOA. We have no indication that they are, Elise. Now, on the separate and distinct, ballistic missile activity, support for terrorism, obviously we still have very valid concerns in that regard. We've made no bones about that.
You said you had no information that Iran has procured equipment in contravention of the JC. Do you have information that Iran has sought to procure equipment, or are you just not aware of the times it succeeded?
I have no information to indicate Iran has procured any materials in violation of the JCPOA, and as I said, the IAEA has reported that Iran continues to implement its nuclear-related commitments under the JCPOA.
I'm not asking about the IAEA, which doesn't really have an intelligence capacity. I'm asking specifically about whether Iran has sought to procure equipment for its nuclear program that it shouldn't.
I've answered the question.
No, you said no. Whoa. I asked if they have sought, and which is specifically it talks about in that German intelligence report that it tried a variety of ways to get stuff it's not supposed to have. And you're just saying we don't know but we have no information if they got it or not. That's a big difference from saying, well, we know they're not trying to do this; they're living up to the deal.
Living up to the deal means not procuring and not attempting to procure.
It also means not trying to procure.
No, not procuring.
So you're saying
if I'm procuring a
procuring
car, I'm trying to buy a car, right? It's the same thing.
Well, if I know that you're not allowed to get the car, and I'm a responsible citizen, and I say no, I will not sell you that car.
Brad,
that's a completely different thing. That doesn't mean you're upholding the law because you were forbidden.
Do not parse my words. There are no indications that Iran is violating the JCPOA. The IAEA continues to find the same to be true. And as we've said all along, we've got enough monitoring in place to know if they're going to try to cheat. We have no indications that they are doing so. And I am not going to talk about intelligence matters in any more detail than that.
But you said that he's parsing, but I respectfully think that you're parsing. The question is, do you have any information that they are trying to obtain material that would not be consistent with their commitments on the deal? Not that they have it, that they've tried to get it. Yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
One other question. Is it not a violation if the German report is correct that they have tried to get nuclear equipment that could be used for a military program? Is that not a violation of at least the spirit of the JCPOA?
I'm not an expert on what the spirit is regarding a certain deal. I'd refer you to German authorities who wrote this report to speak to their conclusions. I think I've answered the question about our views on Iran meeting their obligations under the JCPOA, and I'm not going to begin to have a dialogue about the spirit of it and what that means.
I mean, surely it's not that difficult to understand that if you spent more than 2 years negotiating an agreement whose entire purpose was to prevent a state from obtaining a nuclear weapon, it's surely not that hard to say that if they're off buying dual use or trying to buy dual use technology, that might violate the spirit.
If that was the case, then it would violate the deal, wouldn't it? But as I said, we have no indication that they are violating the deal. And the deal's never been about trust. It's never been about spirit. It's never been about how we feel about Iran. It's been about them meeting their commitments. And they are meeting theirs, we are meeting ours. And there are multiple regimes in place to allow us to examine the degree to which they are meeting their commitments. And as long as they meet theirs, the international community will meet theirs. This is not about touchy-feely. This is about monitoring, it's about verifying, and it's about holding.
So going back to the fact that you said that the Germans are kind of looking at this from the whole 2015, not, when they actually kind of signed the agreement. So are you saying that like they might have tried before the deal was actually signed, or are you casting doubt on the whole report itself?
I think I've responded.
No, you didn't
Yes, I
respond.
did. I responded as far as I'm going to respond on this, and I would respectfully recommend you speak to German authorities about this report.
Well, no, I mean, of course we've spoken to them and we have the report.
Okay.
But you are kind of casting doubt on the report itself or
No,
on the
no.
timeline.
All I'm noting is, I'll say it again, that while it does mention nuclear dual-use technology, it covers all of 2015 and makes no distinction about whether the reported activities occurred prior to the JCPOA coming into effect. And for more detail about that, I would recommend that you speak to the report's authors.
So you're not casting doubt on the fact that they might have tried to obtain dual-use technology, just not since the deal was.
I'm saying
Signed.
that they are in compliance with their JCPOA commitments.
It's a little confusing because if the policy is indeed distrust and verify, and you have a report that casts question, why
Without verification.
why aren't you then ascertaining as hard as possible to find out exactly when these alleged infractions took place, before or after the deal?
The Germans can speak to this report.
Yeah, but-
No, Brad, wait a second. The Germans can speak to this report. We have ways of monitoring their compliance with the JCPOA, and those measures are in place, and every indication we have since the deal was implemented is that they're meeting their obligations. And the IAEA, which, by the way, in terms of the deal, is responsible for doing that compliance verification, has said the same thing in numerous reports. That's what matters. What matters is once the deal got implemented, are they complying? And every indication that we have right now is that they are. That is the
I
deal.
dispute the notion that the IAEA is doing export controls in Germany on.
I didn't say they
on
were doing
dual use.
export controls, but
Well, they
but
wouldn't
the
have the
under the
ability to
deal,
get
the
this information.
IAEA, under the deal, the IAEA is responsible for monitoring compliance, and they are.
Yeah, but they do not have the capacity to examine exactly what this report is talking about. So if you're relying on the IAEA, they could get whatever they want.
Brad, I'm not an expert on their capacity to monitor.
Well,
I think
am.
you'd have to talk to IAEA officials about that.